I'm not a startup expert, but I think having a team is overrated. Hi, it's Ben Kim, a random college student who wants to become a millionaire before he turns 30, and I'm currently building a startup. It's a Q&A social media app where it simplifies decision making, and it's called Dilemma. And I know that what I just said in the beginning of the video is pretty controversial, so I want to elaborate by what I mean. I think having a team in the beginning of a startup journey is pretty overrated. And by the beginning of the startup journey, I'm talking about doing market research, building your startup, launching your startup, and then growing your startup. Like that process where you start from nothing to something, I think having a team is maybe not that much necessary. And yes, the reason I'm saying this is because I don't have a team myself. I coded my app by myself for the past 7 to 8 months, and I got funded a few $1,000s from my university. I was also fortunate enough to attend several competitions and get certificates and awards and more money. And I see a lot of people, majority of being my friends, wanting to start a business or a startup, but they lack of specific skills and they're trying to find a co-founder who has that specific skill. For example, if I want to create a social media startup and I don't know how to code an app, I would try to find a friend who can code an app. So maybe I can manage the business side, the marketing, and my co-founder can actually do all the coding work. And I agree. I mean, if you lack of specific skills and your startup required that skill, you should probably find someone who has that skill. But what I want to say is that if you don't have the skill to start the startup, why don't you work to have that skill? Like if I didn't know how to do coding, why wouldn't I just learn how to code? Of course, it might be easier to find someone who knows how to code, but if I couldn't find someone, instead of me spending energy and time to try to find someone, why wouldn't I just spend that to myself and learn how to code? And that's what I did. I'm a sophomore currently in college and majoring in business and minoring in real estate entrepreneurship, and I've never learned how to code except for Intro to Python, which was mandatory for our college. So specifically, I never learned how to code an app. And almost a year and a half ago, I had my first startup idea, but it was an e-commerce app. So I had to find someone who can code that, but I couldn't because one, I was a freshman and no one in the freshman level knew how to code that, and no one in the senior level would actually want to work with me. So I changed my idea and now I have Dilemma, and I try to still find people to work with me. I went to conferences, I went to meetings, I went to a lot of different places and networked with people and got their contact information and sending them an email or a DM saying, hey, are you interested in joining my team? It's this app and I just need someone who can code. I think I sent about 15 to 20 people to join my team and not a single one of them said yes. And that is actually my fault. Maybe I said it in the wrong way, or maybe I was just pressuring them. Whatever it is, it was my fault. And at the end, I just had no one to work with me. And I realized, okay, if there's no one to work with me, I'm not going to spend another month or two trying to figure out people to work with me, but I would rather just learn how to code by myself. So I use ChatGPT, of course. Without ChatGPT, I would not be here, and learn how to code by myself while still majoring in business and minoring in real estate. And now I'm at the stage of I know every single line of code I created, and I know exactly why I created that and what influence it has. And if someone asks me about this code or that code or this whole file or that file, I can explain them exactly what it does. So I'm not saying that I am almost at the same level as computer science major students, but I at least know what I'm doing now. So I tell my friends who wants to be entrepreneurs, even though I'm not a startup expert, if you have a team in the beginning, you're doing good. But if you don't have a team, try to learn the skill by yourself. I mean, you're still in the beginning stage. You're still 19 or 20 years old. You have plenty of time to learn. And another reason why I think team is a bit overrated in the beginning stage of startup is because if your co-founder leaves the team and you don't have the skill that the co-founder had, you have to spend time, energy, and money to try to replace that co-founder with someone else. Because you already went so far, it's pretty hard to learn by yourself at that point. What you have to do is keep talking to people to replace that co-founder. And I think that's going to be really stressful. I have a person I know who works at a really big consulting firm, and he worked with a co-founder, and that co-founder who knew how to code left. And now his startup is just going nowhere for about 3 months now. And he's still actively looking for people, but he can't. But compared to that, if I learn how to code by myself and I have the skill to create an MVP of the app, and I know how to run the business, and I know literally everything, then I think that's awesome. I mean, I'm the most important person in my one-person team. The fact that if someone asks me about financials, I can talk about the financials. If they ask me about coding, I can talk about the coding. If they ask me about the goal, I can talk about the goal. Like the feeling of knowing everything about your startup should be a mandatory thing. And that's why I think trying to find a team in the beginning stage of your startup is not that necessary. You can definitely try, but if you can't find a team, I don't see anything wrong with you are the only person in the team for a while. Because So later, if you grow your company, people will come to you anyways. And like I said, I've been developing my startup for 8 months. In the beginning, no one was interested in my idea. I reached out to people, they said no. But now, since I got funding, my pictures in LinkedIn, I have blog posts, I have newsletter talking about my name, people are coming to me asking if they can join the team. And I wasn't even trying to find a team, but now people are just interested in what I'm doing and want to be part of my journey, or Dilemma's journey. So to summarize everything, I'm not a startup expert, but if you can't find a co-founder in the early stage of your startup, it's fine. My mentor once asked me this one question: Ben, do you know the difference between a good entrepreneur and a bad entrepreneur? And I said, I mean, there's a lot, so I don't know which one you're talking about. And he said, an entrepreneur who says, I need this much money to actually make the business happen is a bad entrepreneur. And I'm like, what? Why? I mean, if the entrepreneur needs money, like, they gotta have money. They gotta ask for it. Like, why is that a bad entrepreneur? And he said, a good entrepreneur launches the startup or do whatever with the startup regardless of the funding. Good entrepreneur is so determined that yes, the funding will help the startup significantly, but regardless of that funding specifically, the good entrepreneur will make the startup happen. The level of determination and independence is a difference between a good entrepreneur and a bad entrepreneur. And that hit me. And I was like, wow, that's so deep. So that's my thought overall about teams. I recently had a Zoom meeting with an Amazon product manager who is also creating a startup. And since now I'm at the stage of, okay, I got funded, my name's out there, my startup is getting recognized, I should probably find people to work with me, and people are actually coming towards me. I should have a way to select who I'm going to work with. And at first I thought, oh, if the person has the skill, then they're in. But the Amazon product manager said, yes, that is important, but the people you want to find, Ben, is that you want to find people who shares the same vision as you, who believes in your startup. Because if they truly believe in your startup, even though they don't have the skill, they will be eager to learn the skill to join your team. And that's exactly the people you should have in your team. And that's when it hit me again. So yes, it's really important to have someone who has the right skill and the right personality, but the real focus that I should have in the beginning stage is to find people who really believes in my startup and they want our startup to grow big. The people who share the vision, the people who have the same mindset, the people who believe in what I created is the people I want to have in my team. And currently that's what I'm looking for, and I'm excited to see where this is going. So if you think team is not overrated, I agree with you. If you think team is overrated, I agree with you. The fact is, I'm just a student. I'm just a 21-year-old and I'm still learning about life. I'm not here to teach you guys. I'm here to share my journey of what I've learned. So thank you for listening, and I hope I see you again. Bye-bye.